But I go, can I just try another one? That moment comes and I just go, this is Sparta!
Gerard Butler may have roared, "This is Sparta," with unstoppable fury, but what fans never saw was the chaos, pain, and near madness happening behind the camera. Now, years later, Butler is breaking his silence and revealing the brutal truth about what really went down during the making of 300. Curious to know what the movie never showed you? Let's uncover the secrets Butler finally brought to light. A surprising hit. When 300 was theatrically released in early March 2007, few expected it to become one of the most talked-about movies of its time. Directed by Zack Snyder and based on Frank Miller's graphic novel, the film did not rely on big-name stars or traditional historical storytelling. Instead, it brought a hyper-stylized vision of the Battle of Thermopylae to the screen, with bold visuals, slow-motion action, and intense performances. Despite being a risky project in the eyes of studios, 300 defied all expectations at the box office. In its opening weekend, 300 pulled in an astonishing $70 million in ticket sales. This massive success stunned Hollywood, especially considering the film's modest budget of $60 million. The momentum did not stop there. 300 went on to gross over $456 million worldwide, becoming one of the most profitable and talked-about films of that year. Its financial performance proved that audiences were eager for something different, something that pushed the boundaries of both storytelling and visual style. Business Insider and Wikipedia both highlight this unexpected triumph as a turning point for stylized cinema. Beyond memes and pop culture, 300 also inspired a major fitness movement. The sculpted physiques of the Spartan warriors, led by Gerard Butler's King Leonidas, became a new standard for cinematic strength. Viewers around the world began asking how the cast achieved such intense physical results. Soon, magazines and personal trainers introduced the now famous 300 workout, a high-intensity fitness routine used by the cast during preparation for filming. GQ reported that this workout captured public attention and led to a broader conversation about fitness, masculinity, and dedication. Gyms started offering Spartan-themed training programs, and the movie's influence on fitness culture continued to grow long after its theatrical run. The film 300 wasn't just a hit, but what most people don't know is what was really going on behind the scenes. Beneath the roaring battles and stylized visuals was a grueling process filled with pain, sacrifice, and relentless effort. None of that was visible to fans until Gerard Butler finally broke his silence. When he began to reveal the truth about what the cast and crew endured, it opened the door to a story far more intense than what was shown on screen. Let's get into the surprising details that fans never saw coming. The daily toll, injuries, and hospitalizations on set. Director Zack Snyder brought Frank Miller's graphic novel to life with intense visuals, near shot-for-shot accuracy, and groundbreaking digital backlot techniques. Using advanced blue screen technology and visual effects-heavy scenes, Snyder built an immersive, painterly world of myth and violence. But behind that breathtaking spectacle was a brutal reality. According to Gerard Butler, the set of 300 was not just about cinematic glory, it was a daily grind of injuries, exhaustion, and emergency hospital visits. In a candid interview, Butler admitted, "I remember every day somebody was getting taken to the hospital," Butler claims. "You'd be doing a fight, you turn around, there's a guy down there, a spear went in his eye. Another time, you turn around, there's a guy over there who just fell, broke his ankle. I mean, it was insane." The battle choreography may have looked clean and calculated on screen, But in reality, the physical demands often led to chaos. Real weapons, although dulled for safety, still posed serious risks. During one fight sequence, a spear came dangerously close to an actor's eye. In another instance, a cast member suffered an ankle fracture from a mistimed fall. These were not isolated incidents. The film required its actors to perform take after take of high-impact stunts, all while wearing heavy gear and moving through tight, confined spaces surrounded by blue screens. There was no room for error, yet injuries happened constantly. This was in part due to how Snyder chose to shoot the action. Instead of relying on traditional stunt doubles, many of the actors were encouraged or expected to perform their own fight scenes. The result was more authentic and visually powerful, but it came at a high cost. The performers pushed their bodies to the limit. Bruises, muscle tears, and cuts were common. There were no easy days on set. Every moment of slow-motion glory that played out on screen was built on sweat, pain, and relentless physical effort. With so much of the movie being created through digital effects, the actors had to rely on imagination and endurance. They fought enemies that weren't really there, swung swords against green screen backdrops, and maintained character through hours of repetitive, exhausting movement. It was acting and physical training fused into one punishing ordeal. Butler often described feeling completely drained, both physically and mentally, by the end of each day. Despite the pain, the cast kept pushing. For Butler, playing a Spartan king meant embracing the suffering that came with it. The scars and hospital visits were part of the price. What the audience saw as heroic and powerful was, in reality, the product of a relentless and often dangerous production environment. And if the injuries weren't enough, what truly pushed the cast to their limits was the brutal physical preparation that came long before the cameras ever started rolling. Punishing physical preparation. The transformation into Spartan warriors for 300 did not begin with makeup or costumes. It began months before filming, deep in the training rooms of Jim Jones, where Gerard Butler and his fellow cast members underwent one of the most intense physical preparations ever seen in Hollywood. To embody the warrior king Leonidas, Butler trained relentlessly for a full 7 months. His sessions were long and exhausting, lasting up to 6 hours each day. This preparation included CrossFit routines, heavy bodybuilding, intense sword-fighting drills, and relentless circuit training. According to sources like GerardButler.net and Gerard Butler Gals, this was not a typical Hollywood fitness plan. It was a complete physical overhaul designed to transform ordinary men into mythic figures. The training program was led by elite fitness expert Mark Twight at Jim Jones. Twight's methods were extreme, meant to push the actors far beyond what they believed their bodies could endure. With a no-nonsense attitude and a results-focused mindset, Twight combined high-intensity CrossFit exercises with traditional conditioning, weightlifting, and martial arts. The training even included simulated combat situations to prepare the cast for their fight scenes. In between takes on set, the actors continued working out, often lifting weights or doing calisthenics to maintain their pumped look for the camera. This wasn't just about looking strong, it was about becoming strong. The Spartan warriors had to appear carved out of stone, but also move with the power and precision of real soldiers. The idea was to build not just muscle, but true functional strength and endurance. As highlighted by sources like The Ultimate Primate and How Stuff Works, the cast didn't just lift weights. They flipped tires, swung kettlebells, sprinted through obstacle courses, and performed countless push-ups and pull-ups in rapid succession. Martial arts drills were repeated again and again, blending choreography, with real-world movements. The goal was clear: to prepare the actors not just for film, but for battle. Gerard Butler has spoken openly about how punishing the training became. He later admitted that it nearly destroyed his body. The constant wear and tear led to painful injuries, including tendinitis, hip damage, and a torn rotator cuff. At one point, Butler could barely lift his arms due to the strain. He pushed through it all, driven by the need to truly embody Leonidas. His dedication was not only physical, but also emotional. Butler later told Business Insider that the training was ruining his body, especially during filming, when the physical toll never let up. Long days on set were followed by continued workouts, sometimes to maintain muscle definition or to prepare for the next big action scene. It was a never-ending cycle of effort and exhaustion. The training didn't stop when filming started, it only got harder. The pain, in his words, helped him reach the intensity of a true Spartan leader. For Butler, playing Leonidas was about more than memorizing lines or hitting marks. It was about suffering, sacrificing, and earning every moment on screen. The official 8-week training program that most of the cast followed became famous in its own right. It mixed CrossFit routines, high-rep weight circuits, and brutal endurance drills to create a Spartan body in record time. The training became so legendary that it was later published online and adapted by gyms around the world. Fans and fitness enthusiasts attempted the routine themselves, many finding it nearly impossible to complete. But beyond the physical grind and punishing routines, what truly set Gerard Butler apart was the level of personal commitment he brought to the role, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Butler's ultimate commitment. According to one media outlet, Butler's approach to embodying Leonidas was unconventional and immersive. He meditated regularly, claiming that he tried to channel Leonidas through a weird portal. For Butler, it wasn't enough to just act like a warrior on camera. He wanted to truly experience the mindset of a man who would lead 300 soldiers into certain death. This meditative practice became part of his daily preparation, helping him dig deep into the character's soul and bring a sense of realism and emotional power to the role. This commitment extended far beyond internal work. Butler also chose to perform many of his own stunts, despite the physical risks involved. He believed that doing the action himself would make the role more authentic. It was not simply about impressing the audience, it was about honoring the role. In one of the film's key battle sequences, Butler threw himself into the action with such energy that he later described the experience as one of the greatest adrenaline highs of his career. Every swing of his sword and every shout of defiance came from a place of full emotional and physical investment. The intense level of involvement wasn't without danger. Although the main film was shot in a controlled studio environment, Butler and the cast were no strangers to real-life risks. People.com reports that Butler frequently found himself in situations that put his safety at risk, not only during 300, but in the projects that followed. For example, he suffered hypothermia while filming in Iceland and experienced terrifying moments during explosive car stunts in another movie with Pierce Brosnan. These challenges illustrate how Butler has consistently thrown himself into dangerous circumstances in the name of realism and intensity. His performance in 300 was only the beginning of a career shaped by daring and dedication. On the set of 300, there were also unique production challenges that required adaptability and focus. According to Screen Rant, very little of the film's blood and gore was practical. Most of it was added digitally during post-production. This meant that the actors had to visualize everything and react accordingly without the usual visual cues. There were no blood packs exploding or elaborate makeup effects to guide them. Instead, Butler and his co-stars had to imagine the chaos of battle while performing in front of blue screens. This required tremendous concentration and acting skill, especially during emotionally charged or physically exhausting scenes. Butler's full-body commitment to Leonidas, both mentally and physically, defined his career and helped cement the legacy of 300. He didn't just study a script or memorize lines. He entered a psychological space where he truly felt what it meant to lead men into battle and face death without hesitation. His willingness to perform stunts, endure pain, and embrace risk created a performance that felt raw and real. Even in a film filled with digital effects and stylized violence. Now that you know how far Butler went to become Leonidas, let's take you behind the scenes of the battlefield itself, where cutting-edge technology and visionary style turned a warehouse into a world of myth and war, tech-driven visual style and on-set conditions. Zack Snyder's vision for 300 was clear from the very beginning. He wanted to bring Frank Miller's graphic novel to life in a way that no other comic book adaptation had done before. Snyder's blueprint was a near shot-for-shot realization of Miller's panels, a visual experience that closely followed the dramatic style of the original material. According to Screen Rant, about 90% of the film's shots were heavily reliant on visual effects. Snyder used extensive blue screen technology to create the mythic world of Sparta, giving the entire film a painterly look that felt like a graphic novel in motion. Let's take you inside that process. Instead of building massive sets or traveling to historical locations, the entire film was shot in a studio in Montreal. It was a hot, cramped environment where the actors performed nearly every scene, surrounded by blue screens and minimal physical props. The world of the Spartans, from the cliffs of Thermopylae to the God King's throne room, was digitally crafted in post-production. This gave Snyder full control over lighting, weather, and environment, allowing him to push the visuals to mythic levels. However, this came at a cost. The artificial lights required to achieve the film's signature contrast and glowing skin tones added heat to the studio, making the set physically uncomfortable. The cast endured extreme temperatures and physical exhaustion. Gerard Butler, who played King Leonidas, experienced the worst of it. He later revealed that he passed out during filming due to dehydration and overexertion. Long hours under hot lights, while wearing armor and performing intense fight choreography, took a heavy toll on the actors. They were constantly pushed to the limit, both physically and mentally. The commitment to style also meant creative decisions that favored tone over realism. One such example is the scene involving the Oracle. Her mysterious and almost nonsensical dialogue was not entirely scripted. According to Screen Rant, much of her lines were improvised to enhance the dreamlike and eerie quality of her character. These choices further emphasized Snyder's goal: to create a world that was not grounded in historical accuracy, but in legend and symbolism. Every movement, line, and background detail was carefully crafted to reflect the themes of destiny, sacrifice, and glory. Beyond the visual style, 300 also left a mark on modern fitness culture. The film's look depended not only on visual effects, but on the physiques of its actors. To appear as real Spartans, the cast underwent the infamous 300 workout, a grueling regimen involving 300 reps without rest. This routine included pull-ups, deadlifts, push-ups, box jumps, floor wipers, and kettlebell clean and press drills. The workout was so intense that, according to Men's Health, only one cast member was able to complete the full routine. Gerard Butler himself admitted he was too exhausted to train at all for over a year after filming ended. The ripped, chiseled appearance of the Spartans quickly caught the public's imagination. Fitness magazines and gyms began promoting similar training plans. According to Time.com and Entertainment Tonight, the movie even sparked a larger conversation about body image and extreme fitness expectations, particularly among young men. The ideal of the Spartan body, lean and muscular, became a new standard, and many fans began striving to replicate it. The film's influence reached beyond Hollywood, becoming part of the global fitness culture. Amid all the strain, injuries, and creative pressure, something unexpected began to form: a deep bond between the cast. Let's take you into the brotherhood that emerged among the Spartans. The brotherhood among the Spartans. Playing King Leonidas, Butler carried the weight of leadership both in the story and on set. He later spoke openly about how essential the sense of unity among the actors was to capturing the spirit of Sparta. The ensemble cast, which included Lena Headey, David Wenham, Dominic West, and Michael Fassbender, were not just co-stars. They became training partners, emotional anchors, and, most importantly, teammates. Butler described the experience as transformational, saying that their connection helped them feed off each other's energy and push through the hardest parts of filming. He emphasized that the trust and camaraderie among the cast members became as important as any choreography or dialogue in making the Spartan bond believable. From the beginning of the project, the cast was thrown into the same punishing physical training, with sessions lasting hours each day. They worked side by side, often in silence, pushing themselves through the grueling 300 workout that left their bodies aching and exhausted. But these sessions weren't just about building muscle. They built loyalty. The actors didn't just suffer together. They supported one another through the pain, cheered each other on during intense drills, and shared meals, recovery, and laughs in the few quiet moments between takes. For Butler and his co-stars, the workouts became a ritual that brought them closer, mentally aligning them with the warrior characters they were portraying. Butler often spoke about how this shared suffering created a powerful sense of respect and brotherhood. He recalled in one interview that by the time filming began, the cast had not only bonded, but developed a kind of unspoken understanding. "We were like a team," he said. "When we stood on set, we felt like we had already been through war. We knew each other's strengths. We knew each other's pain. That made the performance real." This genuine connection translated directly into the film, where the Spartans are depicted not just as fighters, but as a united force that fights and dies for one another. The bond extended beyond the workout sessions. The cast shared their frustrations with the heat, the blue screen isolation, and the physical toll of wearing armor under studio lights. They leaned on each other to cope with long hours, repeated takes, and the psychological pressure of acting without traditional sets or scenery. For Lena Headey, who played Queen Gorgo, and David Wenham, who portrayed the storyteller Dilios, this spirit of connection carried into their quieter scenes, giving emotional weight to moments of loss, farewell, and sacrifice. Michael Fassbender, then a rising star, credited the group dynamic for helping him stay focused and committed. The cast's shared goal of honoring the Spartan code of loyalty and courage bound them in ways that went far beyond the script. Their off-screen friendship became the emotional foundation for their characters' fierce unity on screen. Now, let's take you into how 300 made its mark far beyond the screen, shaping culture, cinema, and even fitness for years to come. Legacy and cultural impact. When 300 hit theaters in 2007, few could have predicted the massive cultural footprint it would leave behind. What began as a stylized adaptation of Frank Miller's graphic novel quickly grew into a global phenomenon, influencing not only cinema, but fitness culture, advertising, fashion, and pop culture itself. As noted by CNET Live, the film became a defining moment for stylized historical epics and redefined what epic storytelling could look like for a new generation. One of the most remarkable aspects of 300 was how it set a new standard for visual storytelling. The use of high-contrast color grading, digitally enhanced slow-motion combat, and dramatic lighting helped to establish what would later become Snyder's signature style. This highly stylized approach created an immersive world that felt both ancient and mythic, more like a legend passed down through generations than a traditional period drama. This distinct visual tone inspired a wave of films and television series that embraced similar aesthetics. Projects like Spartacus, Blood and Sand, Immortals, and even Game of Thrones borrowed from 300's dramatic flair, utilizing slow motion, stylized blood effects, and intense close-up action to evoke emotion and scale. The success of 300 opened the door for studios to take more visual risks, proving that audiences were ready for bold, graphic novel-inspired storytelling. Beyond the screen, 300 left a lasting impact on fitness culture. The chiseled bodies of the Spartan warriors, especially that of Gerard Butler's Leonidas, became a new benchmark for male fitness ideals. The infamous 300 workout, originally developed by trainer Mark Twight for the cast, was quickly adopted by gyms, trainers, and fitness enthusiasts worldwide. Magazines like Men's Health published versions of the routine, and countless articles broke down the methods behind the cast's transformation. The idea of achieving the Spartan physique became a widespread fitness goal, pushing discussions about discipline, body image, and physical endurance into the mainstream. The film also sparked conversations about masculinity and strength in the modern age. Its depiction of men bonded by duty, honor, and sacrifice resonated with audiences globally. The themes of loyalty, courage, and defiance in the face of overwhelming odds became rallying points, not just for fans of action films, but for those seeking modern-day inspiration from ancient values. The quote, "This is Sparta," roared by Butler's Leonidas, transcended the film and became a viral sensation, used in memes, parodies, and social commentary across platforms. This single moment helped cement 300 as a piece of pop culture history. Academically, 300 stirred renewed interest in ancient history, especially the Battle of Thermopylae. Book sales of Herodotus's histories rose after the film's release, and college courses began to use the movie as a visual reference point for discussions about myth versus fact. While many historians criticize the film's accuracy, they also acknowledged its ability to spark curiosity among students who may never have otherwise explored the topic. In Hollywood, 300 was a game changer. It proved that a film without major stars, shot mostly in a warehouse using blue screens, could become a box office giant. It also launched Zack Snyder into the spotlight, earning him future projects like Watchmen and Man of Steel. Gerard Butler, too, saw his career take off, becoming a household name and action icon almost overnight. Even years later, the legacy of 300 remains strong. It continues to be referenced, studied, and admired as a work that dared to do something different, and succeeded. From its visual style to its physical demands, from its cultural quotes to its influence on media and fitness, 300 was more than a movie. It became a movement. And while the film's legacy echoed across pop culture and cinema, its impact was perhaps most personal for Gerard Butler. Let's see how 300 transformed his career and redefined him as a leading force in Hollywood. Impact on Gerard Butler's career. Before 300, Gerard Butler was a relatively unknown actor, navigating his way through a series of smaller roles in both film and television. Though he had shown flashes of charisma and talent in earlier performances, such as his role as the Phantom in The Phantom of the Opera in 2004 and appearances in films like Reign of Fire and Timeline, he was far from a household name. While these projects gave him exposure, none provided the kind of breakout moment that could launch him into global stardom. That moment would arrive in 2007 with his unforgettable portrayal of King Leonidas in Zack Snyder's 300. The film transformed Butler's career overnight. As the fierce and fearless Spartan king, he commanded every frame with intensity, physical presence, and a roar that would become one of cinema's most iconic lines, "This is Sparta." His performance resonated with audiences not just because of the character's strength, but because of the conviction Butler brought to the role. He threw himself into the physical preparation, endured the punishing training, and delivered a performance that felt raw and powerful. 300 wasn't just a hit, it was a phenomenon, and Butler was at the center of it. Following the success of 300, Butler became one of the most sought-after leading men in Hollywood. Casting directors and studios quickly recognized his ability to carry a film, especially in roles that demanded both physical intensity and emotional depth. He began to land bigger roles, stepping into both action-heavy projects and romantic leads. His next major films included P.S. I Love You in 2007, where he starred opposite Hilary Swank in a romantic drama that showed a more sensitive side of his acting. This role helped him avoid being typecast purely as an action star. He returned to action in Gamer in 2009 and the crime drama Rock'n'Rolla in 2008, directed by Guy Ritchie, further proving his range and willingness to take on diverse characters. Then came Law-Abiding Citizen in 2009, a dark thriller where he played a man seeking revenge on a flawed justice system. The film was a box office success and highlighted Butler's ability to portray morally complex characters. Butler also found his footing in comedy and romantic films. The Ugly Truth in 2009, where he starred alongside Katherine Heigl, became a popular romantic comedy, while The Bounty Hunter in 2010, opposite Jennifer Aniston, continued his streak of commercially successful, if critically mixed, releases. These films kept him in the public eye and solidified his versatility. Despite his ventures into different genres, Butler remained closely associated with action and epic roles. He returned to Ancient History and Gods of Egypt in 2016, took on Disaster in Geostorm in 2017, and anchored the Fallen series, Olympus Has Fallen in 2013, London Has Fallen in 2016, and Angel Has Fallen in 2019, where he portrayed Mike Banning, a hardened Secret Service agent. These films reinforced his action hero status and built a loyal fan base around his rugged, no-nonsense persona. Butler has also continued to work on smaller, more character-driven films like Machine Gun Preacher in 2011 and Greenland in 2020, where he combined action with deeper emotional themes. These projects showed that while he could lead major blockbusters, he was equally interested in stories that challenged him as an actor. In the years since 300, Gerard Butler has carved out a lasting presence in Hollywood. The film didn't just elevate his career, it defined it. It gave him a global audience, a signature role, and a platform to explore a wide range of characters across genres. For many fans, he will always be King Leonidas, the fearless warrior who made death look like destiny. But for Butler, 300 was the beginning of a journey that turned him into one of modern cinema's most recognizable and enduring stars. What are your thoughts on Gerard Butler's revelations? about the behind-the-scenes struggles of 300. Did his commitment and the cast's intense journey change how you see the film? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.